And no one, I mean no one, is paying to see Angel Reese attempt to play basketball. Hell, not even Mama Reese is paying to watch this live.
All right, stop the presses. The WNBA thought it had finally caught fire, riding a wave of unprecedented hype, packed arenas, and soaring TV ratings, all thanks to one player, Caitlin Clark. But just when it seemed like the league was set for a historic season, disaster struck. Clark is sidelined with an injury. What happened next, though, is the real shocker. The league expected fans to stick around, maybe even enjoy the extra drama on the court, rough play and all. Instead, we're seeing a full-blown fan revolt, a potential boycott, and concrete numbers showing that without Clark, the bottom is allegedly dropping out from under the league's newfound popularity, specifically hitting ticket sales in a brutal, undeniable way. You're locked into Trial Scoop, and we're exposing the financial panic allegedly sweeping through the WNBA as the Caitlin Clark effect is put to the ultimate test.
You can't tell me that the Caitlin Clark effect isn't real. You knew when news broke yesterday that Caitlin Clark was going to be out for a few weeks, that ticket prices were going to go down, but I never expected them to go down 71% for the rivalry game.
And no one, it seems, is feeling the pressure more than teams who gambled big on Clark's presence and players who benefit from the attention she brings. The numbers hitting the wire paint a devastating picture that the WNBA simply cannot ignore, confirming what many suspected. Caitlin Clark is currently the undisputed economic engine of the league. When she sustained a left quad strain on May 25th, the impact wasn't gradual. It was instantaneous, sending tremors through the WNBA's fragile financial structure with significant, immediate repercussions that are now becoming glaringly visible. But the real story is in the concrete fallout, allegedly highlighting just how central her presence is to the league's newfound economic health. As Clark faces a minimum 2-week absence, the stark, undeniable difference in drawing power between her and the rest of the league's players has been laid bare for everyone to see. Players like Angel Reese, teams like the struggling Chicago Sky, they're now allegedly forced to confront an uncomfortable, potentially panic-inducing reality. In professional women's basketball, individual star power, and currently, one specific star's power disproportionately drives engagement and revenue to a degree that exposes a deep imbalance in the league's current model.
Indiana Fever ticket prices to games over the next 2 weeks have dropped 42% since Caitlin Clark's injury announcement, an average ticket price of $137 all the way down to $80. People are selling their tickets, definitely can't get face value, so what do? They just continue to lower and lower and lower and lower.
And if you thought that was bad, wait until you see the raw numbers. News broke yesterday about Clark's injury, and while some expected ticket prices to dip for Indiana Fever games, nobody anticipated the sheer collapse that reportedly followed. According to reports, ticket prices for upcoming Indiana Fever games dropped dramatically by a stunning 42% almost overnight, falling from an average of $137 down to just $80. This wasn't a slow market correction. It was a clear, immediate, and brutal acknowledgement from fans and the marketplace itself that without Clark on the court, the product's perceived value plummeted.
Guy relocated the game to the United Center, the home of the Chicago Bulls and the largest arena in the NBA, expecting a marquee matchup between Clark and Sky Forward Angel Reese. Now here's where it gets sweet, all right? It gets real interesting right here. However, uncertainty looms as ticket prices for the game have plummeted dramatically following Clark's injury announcement. Oh my goodness. Since it became likely she will miss the June 7th game, ticket prices have dropped a staggering 71%. Oh my goodness. Following from an entry price of $86 to just $25 according to Tick.
But the drama doesn't stop with the Fever's home games. The Chicago Sky, who had aggressively shifted their June 7th game against the Fever from their regular 10,000-seat arena to the massive 21,000-seat United Center precisely to capitalize on Clark's expected draw, allegedly saw their gamble backfire spectacularly the moment Clark's absence was announced. The minimum entry fee for what was hyped as a marquee matchup featuring the highly anticipated Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese rivalry reportedly fell off a cliff, plummeting from $86 down to a mere $25. For a team and a league that committed heavily to upgrading to a bigger venue to chase Clark's audience, the financial impact was reportedly swift, harsh, and undeniably linked to her star power.
I told you earlier, these WNBA franchises that moved games like the Chicago Sky to the United Arena, you're screwed. You're done. You're cooked. Nobody is going to show up to this thing. Chicago Sky can't sell out their own 9,000-something seat arena like it is. They couldn't when they were kind of decent. They're a dumpster fire now. And now that Caitlin Clark is injured, the ticket prices for the Fever and Sky game just plummeted to Hades.
And the economic decline allegedly reveals a harsh, uncomfortable reality that many within the WNBA ecosystem have seemed reluctant to fully acknowledge. Success and drawing power are currently vastly unevenly distributed among its players. While players like Angel Reese undeniably attract attention, generate headlines, and have a passionate fan base, the data shows a stark hierarchy in drawing power.
We know that wherever she goes, she's selling out arenas. The ticket prices skyrocket. Like, even trying to get tickets to Carver Hawkeye Arena when they played the Brazilian national team at her old school was just insane prices. If she's going on the road, wherever she's going, ticket sales jumped by 140%. Average is $312.
But the gap isn't just significant, it's allegedly seismic, highlighting just how vital she is to the league's visibility and marketability. According to Fox Sports data, games featuring Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever averaged a stunning 1.178 million viewers, a number that nearly tripled the 394,000 average viewership for other WNBA games during the same period. This isn't a small difference that can be easily explained away. It's a massive disparity that allegedly demonstrates how Clark's presence fundamentally boosts the league's visibility and marketability, illustrating in undeniable terms how vital she is to its current financial and cultural success, and exposing the alleged fragility of a league heavily dependent on a select few players.
The WNBA will be reliant on their other stars to maintain the interest of the mainstream. With Angel Reese being the only player with mainstream name recognition, most of the pressure, it is going to be on her to perform. And we have plenty of evidence that proves Angel Reese is not qualified to...
And if you are still doubting the depth of the Caitlin Clark effect, look at the record-breaking numbers she's already generated. The May 17th game between the Fever and Chicago Sky, a rivalry amplified by the Clark versus Reese dynamic, reportedly drew a staggering 2.7 million viewers, setting a new record for the most watched WNBA regular season game in a quarter century. The broadcast peaked even higher at 3.1 million viewers, demonstrating Clark's undeniable ability to attract casual fans who typically don't tune into women's basketball. This single game, largely driven by her star power, reportedly surpassed the viewership of many entire playoff series from previous seasons, highlighting her extraordinary, disproportionate influence on the league's television ratings. The pattern of her influence becomes even more striking when examining broader data from the season. According to reports, during the early part of the 2024 season, an astonishing 21 out of 24 WNBA broadcasts that managed to draw at least 1 million viewers featured Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. This means nearly 90% of the league's most watched games depended heavily on her presence and star power to reach that viewership threshold. Additionally, the only 3 games in the league with over 20,000 fans in attendance this season all reportedly involved the Indiana Fever, further emphasizing Clark's role as the league's primary engine for driving both TV ratings and physical attendance and engagement, underscoring her significance as a transformative, albeit currently singular, figure in women's professional basketball.
Caitlin Clark could be projected to be $1 billion revenue maker for the WNBA this year. Now, obviously, the WNBA won't see that money, won't see most of that money, and it's not just in the WNBA, but it's all of her sponsorships, it's all of her appearances, it's all that stuff. But according to the projections, we're looking at $875 million could easily eclipse $1 billion on her economic impact. Caitlin Clark entering the league last year was responsible for 26.5% of all of their economic activity. So revenue from merchandise, which again, with the CBA as it is currently, she doesn't see a dime of any of that. TV, and then ticket sales, obviously, which again, they don't get anything.
But while Clark's influence is immense, the harsh reality of star power is felt most acutely by teams and players who are trying to compete for attention without it. No team exemplifies this struggle quite like the Chicago Sky and their star Angel Reese. The Sky reportedly started the 2025 season at a difficult 0-4, winless and struggling to find their footing on the court, a significant drop from preseason expectations that included hype around Reese and other rookies. Meanwhile, their supposed rival, Caitlin Clark, continues to dominate headlines even while injured, keeping the spotlight firmly on her influence and the potential panic her absence is causing, leaving the Sky allegedly struggling for mainstream attention.
People might be saying, oh, well, the teams aren't really going to suffer. They already sold the tickets. No. You don't understand. If the Chicago Sky moved into the United Center, and let's say resale-wise, they sold all 19,000, well, when only 9,000 to 10,000 show up, they're losing merchandise sales, they're losing food sales, they're losing beverage sales, they're losing big. They took a big gamble to get into that arena, and they're losing big because it's not going to be full, and those people aren't going to be buying things.
And here's where the alleged panic might set in for Angel Reese. Long positioned as Clark's primary competitor and rival since their high-profile college matchups, Reese now faces the tough task of remaining relevant and a compelling figure for a team that has yet to establish a winning identity this season. The Sky's poor start marks a significant drop from expectations, and their inability to secure wins on the court has allegedly led to waning interest from casual fans and reduced media coverage outside of moments tied to the Clark rivalry. This decline is starkly reflected in ticket prices. While games at the United Center against Indiana, where Clark's presence was anticipated, commanded premium prices, many of the Sky's regular matches at their home arena are now reportedly available for as little as $17, mirroring the market's honest and perhaps brutal assessment of the team's current entertainment value and drawing power without the allure of a marquee matchup featuring the league's biggest star.
The ticket prices. This does not shock me at all. What did I say earlier? The WNBA was about to F around and find out, and these rival teams were going to be in a lot of trouble. Well, they're finding out. Kathy Engelbert, WNBA, you better start putting some respect on Fever fans' names, Caitlin Clark's name. Otherwise, this league, we got to remember, they lost $40 million still last year. All right? They're getting a new media rights deal. That thing won't be worth shit if Caitlin Clark was to either get really injured and couldn't play or decided to just say, I'm not going to play here anymore. I'm going overseas.
The Sky's struggles extend beyond just their win-loss record. Their 0-4 start reportedly reflects a broader challenge in defining their team identity, fostering internal chemistry, and consistently attracting attention without the guaranteed spotlight that Clark's presence once brought to their matchups. Without the automatic media coverage, social media buzz, and inflated fan interest generated by facing Clark and the Fever, the Sky must now reportedly depend solely on their on-court performance and the compelling nature of their own team dynamics to draw and sustain engagement. Early indicators, however, allegedly suggest that their current product isn't consistently compelling enough to maintain the heightened interest the franchise experienced during key rivalry moments featuring Clark, highlighting the vulnerability of teams whose visibility was heavily reliant on a single opponent's star power.
The jerseys, the number 22, the various styles, whether it's a t-shirt with 22, whether it's an Iowa jersey, whether it's a Fever jersey, a throwback, whatever. The amount of people in yellow 22 apparel is stunning. It is more than Peyton Manning ever had leading the Colts to a Super Bowl. It's more than Reggie, more than anybody I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like it. But now she's not going to play. So I'm curious, are we going to have sellout crowds? Are the Pacers going to draw the attention nationally when they play the Sky or the Liberty or the Sun or whoever?
A comprehensive economic analysis reportedly revealed the depth of this dependence. Caitlin Clark accounted for an impressive 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity during her rookie season projections for 2025. Estimate Clark could generate around $875 million in economic impact for the league, with potential to surpass $1 billion. This doesn't mean she personally pockets that money, but that her presence directly drives increases in attendance, merchandise sales, TV ratings, and broader economic activity in cities hosting her team, underscoring her vital and currently singular role in driving league growth and revenue.
Reese and the WNBA have been using race to bring awareness to an incredibly bad product. Once you remove Caitlin Clark from the equation, there's no reason for people to watch this league, which is why people haven't been watching Angel Reese throughout her career.
And the immediate market reaction to Clark's injury serves as a real-time, undeniable validation of this analysis. When ticket prices dropped by 42% within hours of her injury announcement, it demonstrates that Clark's value isn't just theoretical or academic, it's tangible, immediate, and quantifiable in economic terms. The WNBA has reportedly built a significant portion of its current economic foundation on the appeal of a single player, creating both unprecedented opportunity and, as the current situation shows, considerable and potentially devastating risk. This billion-dollar projected impact extends beyond simple game attendance figures, reaching into areas like merchandise sales. Clark's presence has reportedly driven merchandise sales increases of over 500% league-wide, according to Fanatics reports. Dick's Sporting Goods reportedly experienced a 233% jump in WNBA sales from 2023 to 2024, largely attributed to Clark's popularity and the resulting surge in interest. These numbers represent fundamental shifts in consumer behavior and spending patterns driven by one player, allegedly highlighting that this isn't just a temporary bump from a novelty effect. It's a significant, potentially fragile economic engine.
Without the NBA giving their yearly donation, this league would have folded years ago. And that's the part that bothers me about the organization, the owners, the players. This inflated ego, thinking, oh, we built this. You didn't build nothing. You're just getting by the NBA charity check. And with this mentality, they have these inflated egos, and they're stuck in their ways. They think their way is the right way. This is going to be successful, and failed for decades. Finally, a player that's worth paying the money for, Caitlin Clark, comes along. What do, WNBA? You beat her up. You treat her like crap. You treat her like she's dog.
The current situation presents the WNBA with a stark, undeniable warning about the fragility of its newfound Clark-driven success. Clark's injury has allegedly exposed the league's dependence on a single player in ways that should deeply concern executives, team owners, players, and the Players Association alike. The immediate sharp drop in interest levels, the plummeting ticket prices for previously hyped games, and the anticipated decline in viewership for games she misses all allegedly demonstrate that the WNBA's recent growth, while real and substantial in raw numbers, remains heavily concentrated around one individual rather than being broadly distributed across multiple players, teams, or compelling storylines. This concentration of star power isn't necessarily problematic in itself. Many successful sports leagues throughout history have featured transcendent, generation-defining players who drive disproportionate interest and revenue. However, the WNBA's current situation is reportedly particularly precarious because Clark is still incredibly early in her professional career and has already experienced her first significant injury, raising questions about the physical toll of the professional game. The pattern established during Clark's incredibly high-profile college career should have provided additional warning signs for league officials about this potential dependence. When Clark and Iowa were eliminated from the 2024 NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament playoffs, viewership for subsequent games reportedly dropped significantly, even though those games featured other accomplished players and compelling storylines that would have been major draws in previous years. For instance, the semifinal matchup between the Las Vegas Aces and New York Liberty reportedly drew 929,000 viewers, which, while respectable in historical WNBA terms, represented a substantial decline from the 1.8 million viewers who had tuned in to watch Clark's final college playoff debut just days before. Clark's absence extends far beyond the Indiana Fever and her direct opponents. It impacts the entire WNBA ecosystem that has become increasingly reliant on her draw. Television networks have tailored their programming schedules and promotional efforts heavily around Clark's star power, and her injury reportedly forces an immediate reassessment of expectations and promotional strategies, potentially leaving holes in primetime sports programming previously allocated to her games. Merchandise partners who have heavily invested in WNBA products now face a marketplace where their primary, unprecedented driver of sales is temporarily sidelined, potentially impacting revenue projections and inventory management. For other players in the league, Clark's injury reportedly presents both an opportunity and a significant challenge. While it opens the door for emerging stars to step into the spotlight, potentially gain more playing time, and showcase their own appeal to a wider audience, the immediate, widespread decline in overall interest outside of her core fanbase allegedly suggests that many casual fans drawn specifically by Clark may simply lose engagement without her presence, reverting to their previous viewing habits. This situation reportedly underscores, in the starkest possible terms, the critical importance of player health, injury prevention protocols, and effective game management strategies in a league where the availability of individual stars so dramatically influences economic outcomes. The WNBA's medical teams, training protocols, and game management strategies, particularly around physical play and player safety, become even more vital as the health and availability of key players are now reportedly directly tied to league-wide revenues, TV ratings, and fan engagement. Ensuring the health and safety of these star players is now arguably more essential than ever for the league's ability to sustain its momentum and maintain its recent growth trajectory. As Clark reportedly works towards her potential return to the court, the WNBA faces critical questions about its future trajectory and the sustainability of its recent surge in popularity. The league's growth strategy must urgently evaluate whether it is sustainable to depend so heavily on the prominence and drawing power of individual stars, or if efforts must fundamentally shift toward cultivating a more diverse and widespread appeal across multiple players, teams, and compelling narratives that can stand on their own. This situation also reportedly prompts reflection on competitive balance and talent distribution within the league. The Indiana Fever's ability to draft Clark and build their franchise narrative around her has reportedly granted them a notable advantage that extends far beyond mere basketball performance, fundamentally influencing league-wide attention, media coverage, and marketability in a way that seems currently unparalleled. Other teams now need to explore how to develop their own standout players, cultivate unique team identities, and craft captivating narratives that can engage fans amidst a competitive entertainment landscape that offers countless viewing options. For teams like the Chicago Sky and players such as Angel Reese, the challenge, while potentially frustrating, is reportedly clear. They must find ways to generate interest and excitement independently of Clark's influence. This involves focusing intensely on team success, fostering compelling team chemistry, and creating unique, authentic stories that resonate with fans, rather than relying solely on rivalry-driven hype that fundamentally hinges on Clark's presence as the primary antagonist or foil. Building a more balanced, resilient, and less dependent league will reportedly require strategic, long-term investments in player development programs, innovative marketing strategies, and compelling storytelling that can sustain engagement and revenue regardless of any single individual star's availability. The harsh reality allegedly exposed by Clark's injury and the subsequent market reaction is that the WNBA's recent, unprecedented growth, while significant and genuinely exciting, remains fragile and heavily reliant on the appeal of a single star player. The league has undeniably succeeded in drawing in massive numbers of new fans, significantly boosting revenue streams and raising its national profile to new heights. But these impressive achievements are allegedly largely anchored to Clark's presence on the court and her performance, creating a dependency that is now being tested. This doesn't necessarily undermine the talent or entertainment value of other players or the league as a whole. Instead, it reportedly underscores the unique, currently indispensable role Clark plays in shaping the sport's current landscape and highlights the shared responsibility she and the league leadership have to safeguard and effectively leverage this asset. Ensuring long-term sustainability, however, will reportedly require diversifying the league's portfolio of marketable stars and building a broader, more stable foundation for continued growth that extends well beyond one individual's influence, mitigating the risks of over-reliance. The coming weeks, with Clark sidelined, will serve as a vital test of the WNBA's underlying support system and the true durability of its recent surge in popularity. If viewership numbers, attendance figures for non-fever games, and overall league engagement remain relatively steady during Clark's absence, it will suggest that the league has, to some degree, successfully expanded its fan base beyond just her immediate star power, potentially converting some of those casual viewers drawn by Clark into more dedicated, long-term supporters of the WNBA as a whole. However, if numbers drop significantly across the board, it will undeniably highlight how much the league's current growth and visibility still fundamentally depend on its brightest, most recognizable talent, confirming the alleged fragility of its current model, and perhaps sparking genuine panic about the future. Caitlin Clark's influence on women's professional basketball, at this moment in time, reportedly goes far beyond her on-court achievements and statistical output. She has become an undeniable driving force behind the league's economic momentum and its mainstream visibility. Her temporary absence due to injury underscores both the immense opportunities that lie ahead if the league can successfully diversify its appeal and cultivate other stars, and the significant vulnerabilities that come with over-reliance on a single superstar's health and continued presence. This period will be a crucial test, revealing whether the WNBA can sustain its momentum independently, leveraging the attention Clark brought to build something broader and more resilient, or if it remains tethered, perhaps precariously, to Clark's presence as the primary engine of its current success. If you enjoyed this breakdown, leaving a like and subscribing helps us continue bringing you these urgent stories.